of Education regular meeting for August 17th, 2020, 5:30 to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Beckley.
Here.
Mr. Fawcett.
Here.
Mrs. Sproul. Here. Mr. Miles.
Here.
Mr. Trimmer.
Here. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Claymont board meeting for August, and at this time, administrative report there.
What I have, and it's going to be a hodgepodge, a couple different things. First one, I want to touch base on buildings and grounds. The high school roof project will be on the website tomorrow to be out for bid. It'll be up until 8/26, and then all the bid proposals are due on 9/9. We have them 60 days to accept or reject those bids. So if they're coming in over our budget, or mainly we reject them to being over our budget. So we're not locked in that we have to accept someone. Our buildings and grounds crew met the other day, and we are getting some darker brown roof colors to come in here probably tomorrow. So you guys could pick the darker brown, which one we would like.
Are we doing metal?
For that.
Metal.
Yeah, we had a couple lighter ones that kind of matched the grout on the building and things, but we thought if we maybe look at darker brown would be, so we're working on that. So again, tomorrow on the website, so those contractors that are interested in putting on the roof, they have until the 26th, that'll be up, and they have until the 9th of September to put a bid in for the project.
Can the facilities committee just pick that? So, I mean, just that way you don't have to hold it up for the
So it
whole.
would be like our grounds facilities,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
It'd be Steve and Austin,
I would be okay with that.
yeah,
Instead of
okay.
worrying about everybody.
We can do that, and then we'll just eventually, once they select or reject a bidder, and then we would then put it on the board agenda. So, yeah, I want a reminder from Stacy Spillman from the Economic and Community Economic Development for Tuscarawas County regarding the 2020 census. So making sure that everybody has gone in and completed their census paperwork. I did read that we are behind in our people completing the census at this point in our county. So hopefully that's just people haven't gotten to it yet, but the less people that complete the census, the less money that we receive. So just want to remind folks on that. School did kind of begin today with teacher work day. It was a great day. Everybody seems to be excited to be back to work. Tomorrow we start with our convocation day. We will be at 4 buildings. We're going to break them up remotely. We have 4 Leader in Me representatives coming in for in-person. So our primary will host the primary and preschool group. Our intermediate school will host the elementary and intermediate. The middle school will host the middle school teachers and bus drivers, and the high school here will host a high school staff. So basically the first hour of our day will be convocation day, where we welcome everybody back. And then from there, the rest of the day will be Leader in Me training for tomorrow and on Wednesday. And then we're following up with more professional development on the rest of the week until we get kids come back officially on the 8th of September. Do that. The last thing I had to make note of was our stadium update. So virtually, we'll be able to put up a picture of it virtually for us, because we have that, but for everybody here, there's kind of our mock-up drawing. And so this will be 19,100 square feet of a building. And it'll be a 2-tiered roof. And I don't know if there's a best picture that shows 2-tiered, probably this one down here. A 2-tiered roof. The higher roof end would be the weight room end, and then toward the other end would be the high school varsity locker room and the wrestling room. And kind of in the middle point is still our other locker room. So our committee has met. We did pick a contractor to kind of get started with it, and we selected Beaver Constructors out of Massillon for them. So here's kind of our design we have at this point. So we've pretty much settled on this look. And then on the back, it's not maybe after the meeting, it'll be more of this drawing. One down here, I don't have the big poster. When we met with our buildings and grounds group and met to discuss the breakings up the locker room and the field house area, we noticed we shortchanged some restrooms and things or showers in there. So they've done some rearranging in the one here, and I'll show you guys a better, but it's a little bit of adjustment from this section in here. It's made a movement. So they moved the showers from here over to more to this section. So we still will have 8 showers now instead of 6. And that was a big concern the other day with it. Steve and Austin were at our meeting. Kim was at our meeting. So do you guys want to add anything to I may have missed?
No, do we want to get into the buildings, the different, like concession stands? Or
We can bring it up for discussion. Yeah,
you want to bring that up?
go ahead.
Okay, when we had our meeting, we were trying to look at different avenues. And as you can see on the drawing, Brian, if you can turn it around, please. Okay, our locker, the home locker room will be over on the right-hand side there. And then junior high and track stuff, we'll use this one. We were talking about using that as the visitors locker room also. For the simple reason is they can go in here and come out to the left, and
Yeah, this would
they would come back onto the field about the same place where our team used to come out. And the reason was looking at that, to utilize that, is we could save some dollars without having to build another locker room over on the other side and concession stand and bathrooms. So I think we pretty much agreed that we could save a lot of dollars where we could spend that someplace else instead of that. Because during football, the only people would be using that would be the junior high. And at the end of Thursday's practice or game, they would have to remove their equipment out of there and they would clean it up for the visiting team. Now, the visiting team, as far as I understand, and Brian can correct me, they will still park over by the bus garage and walk through that gate. And there's going to be a gate between the back of our home bleachers and the building where our air conditioners and all that and heating units will be enclosed. They can walk right through there and walk right up in there. There also will be I don't know how big a wall that will be, but it's going to be like an L shape where nobody can look into the locker room. They'll go in and do
Yeah,
that.
this one's backwards on the drawing. It'll be flip-flopped the other way. So when they come out, they'll head down the direction to go out. As you can see, the same thing kind of is in, maybe you can't, I don't know, but if you're in the weight room area and you're in the girls' locker room, if the girls are using this facility, the L shape here, so there's no straight line in. Once you open the door, they can't see directly in.
Can't see in there.
And we've done, the same thing has been accomplished on the other side for the boys, the varsity end of locker room. So that was something that was changed up there. We do still have sight lines for, supervision within the locker rooms from the coaches' offices. But the smaller one would fit that. So by making those adjustments, and I talked to a concession stand worker, by reducing from 2 concession stands down to 1 concession stand, they said, thank you, because it's hard to get concession stand workers. I don't know how we would have manned 2 concession stands, but like they do now, they struggle. So
And that concession stand, which we never talked about, will be located up towards the tennis court.
That'll be
Face,
nice.
okay, and there'll be restrooms on both sides of that. So with the
That'll be nice.
concessions.
And we'll use it, the concession stand will be utilized for tenants.
I was just gonna ask.
Yeah, and then also there'll be a ticket booth on that side too,
Right.
so.
But we can save quite a few dollars by not going that route. And that's the way we decided, right, Steve?
Yeah.
Do you have any more of the?
No, I was just pleased with the way things went. We definitely had some quality people interested. The companies were, well-known. They took pride and have a lot of passion in what they do. But I guess as a whole, Beavers was the standout. They just, are head and shoulders above everybody, and the pride and the workmanship that they put into it. You can go in a 50-mile radius and see any of their projects. So I'm pleased and excited to see how this is going to turn out for us. Well, long overdue.
And another thing, Lon, that impressed me with Beavers was that they utilized some of the kids out of Buckeye.
Yes.
That's from
That's
Claymont.
great.
So they could be down there helping laying brick, and they may not be involved in athletics or band or whatever, but they can say, hey, I had a part in building this. And I was impressed with that. That's all I have.
Yeah, no, I mean, we had 9, like you touched, 9 quality candidates that were interested in our project. So when you have 9, that says a lot as far as people wanting to come and work on our facility. So it was very good. So I don't have any more. Yeah, I'm off of that, so I can go to the recommendations.
Okay.
I made some chicken scratch, so that's why I was jotting down some. Stadium project donations, I want to recognize Rick and Marty. She goes by Marty, but Martha Denman. They will be donating $5,000 to the project. And I know I'm going to mispronounce Dr. Rebecca Ann Zerba's name, but she has donated $1,000. Butch and Marla Watkins have donated $100. So I want to thank them for donating to our project, and every little bit helps for our project. I want to thank Kendra Poland for donating benches in memory of her husband Chad, and those benches will be at the tennis courts. I want to thank the following individuals for donations of masks: Mary Ellen and Martha Campbell, Martha Peterman, and Gloria Wrench. They've been donating masks, so we're very grateful for what they have donated. I want to recognize our custodial staff. As you guys came in the buildings, I think you can see that everything's shining up, looks phenomenal. They've worked hard over the summer, whether it's mowing grass to waxing floors, painting walls. They work very, very hard. I also want to thank our aides and bus drivers at the end of the year who chipped in and kind of started that process, because that helped our custodial staff even more so this year. And they said that was a relief, and it was everybody pitched in and did a little bit and made everything a lot better. So the old saying is, many hands make light work. It became light work because many people were involved. But also I want to recognize our summer youth workers that we had through Goodwill. Bob Johnson sets this up for us. Jeremy Carlson, we have the high school grounds. I just want to share this one from Corey Sproul and all the other custodial staff at the high school. Jeremy Carlson is a senior at the high school and Buckeye Career Center. Jeremy worked with me for the last 2 years. He has done all the outside work, which includes weed eating, spraying fences, digging the ball fields, and push milling. Jeremy is willing to do any work that has kept the outside of the building looking nice. Jeremy has done a great job and is showing up for work early, ready to take on the day, and does exactly what he is asked to do. Jeremy has done a great job here at Claymont High School, and our custodial staff at the high school would like to thank Jeremy for all his hard work and time that he's put in. Good luck in your senior year as you move on, and you will do great things. Thank you, Corey, and all the custodial staff with CHS. Go Mustangs. So I want to thank them for that note for Jeremy. And then I had, Ivan Eady, or Eddie, depends on how you pronounce it. Bradley Green, Cheyenne Hart, Haley Law, McKenna Mangus, Noah Cottrell, Michael Meese, Parker Owens, Evan Roth, Emily Schreiber, Jalen Taylor, and William Van Horn. But I also want to just share for Bradley and Parker, this came from Ed Orr, Shelley Donahoe, and Carmen Fawcett. Speaking particularly of Bradley and Parker, these young men were so supportive to help us custodians this summer. They did all that we asked of them. They did their work above and beyond. They were timely. These boys were true gentlemen. We thank you for all your hard work, Ed, Shelley, and Carmen.
Yeah, that's super.
So I want to thank them. And I also had a couple thank yous from another custodial member today that said she didn't want them read, but we're going to put them in a thank you note to these kids, and hopefully that'll be a little extra morale booster for them. As they
That's the direction that we're trying to go, and you're starting to see more of that. It's not always the kid that's scoring a touchdown, but giving those kids that are doing the stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
I'd like to add too that Brent Baumberger reached out to me earlier in the summer. He has lunch over at Yurtsville Park every day. He said there was a gentleman there that he saw working every day, no supervisor around. He just worked, and he said he's worked really hard, did everything, and he said it was just amazing to watch. I didn't realize we had somebody over there, so I told him to check with Mark Haney. Mark told him it was probably the school. So after doing some digging, found out it was Michael Meese. And so he was just watching, and so I think it's really impressive to see these kids take that initiative.
Yeah.
It is. I'm glad that they did, because they didn't have to chase them around and make them work.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing. It says a lot about our kids.
Mr. Ed, before you head out on that, back to the stadium project donations. And if you said it, I apologize for not catching it. Where are those checks and how are they being made out?
Come to me, Claymont City Schools,
Okay.
with a notation or something that I know that it goes to the stadium project.
Okay.
Speaking of sports, when we talk about that, I met with Jacob Baldwin today and Justin Jones, our athletic director. Jacob's our audiovisual guy, guru. He's looking into how he can live stream our events, especially football on Friday nights. It would be a free live stream. He's looking at streaming it to either Facebook, probably Facebook, or to YouTube, but more likely Facebook. But I guess they used to do this a few years ago, and Jacob used to help with it. So he's currently looking into that. We may end up having to chip in a little bit to get him some audiovisual things, but his AV club at the middle school and high school, he's sure that he can pull that off with students, speaking when we're talking about students, being there and helping and participating and doing this for us. So he said it would be looking at Sling. That's a new TV something app or I'm not sure, but that's a way to program it and run it through Facebook. So and then he will want to put on his wish list as far as getting better cameras to videotape, but he said we have the equipment now to do this. So that's something to look at. So that's what we're working on for our live streaming of events. So
Do we have the ability to take electronic deposits, like through a PayPal type thing or anything?
The only thing we have set up right now is the pay schools. That's online.
Okay.
You can put in like your cafeteria money or your pay school fees, stuff on
Can
there.
we set up a stadium? I'm just wondering, could we look at if somebody wants to be a patron sponsor and we set that level, whether it's $100, $250, and then their name goes on, everybody gets listed on it.
Well, they typically put it into the programs too, on game night.
Yeah,
They're got that instead of,
those are typically, I think something would be a little bit more permanent.
Right.
yeah.
So you'd want to make it a little bit higher dollar amount. But because Because I know the Denmans came from the Claymont Foundation newsletter.
They did, so
So
did,
I don't know if we could do like a postcard. Postcards are cheap and, by marketing classes, people would tend to look at a postcard a lot quicker than they'll look at a letter or something like that. And, so just, and then if they have the ability to do it electronically, you might get $50 here, $100,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So just a thought that if the stadium committee was to think about a level to make that something that could be.
I know Martha, now that she's maybe done making masks for school students, she's not done.
She's making them for Ohio State now.
Okay, she actually is going to head up the chair, she said she would chair that committee. So she was looking for something more to do, is what she said.
I talked to Martha yesterday.
And she said, no,
No, she didn't say that.
yeah,
She just told me that she's at this point not on any other committee. So I don't think that she would, I'm not saying she would say no. I just don't know that she knows that she is, or if it's coming to fruition.
oh,
So
yeah.
just maybe touching base with her. Because I bought some masks off of her. She's doing a fundraiser for the scholarship fund for the Ohio State alumni. So.
Do you have anything else, Brian? Yes, sir. Okay, we'll move to the next page. You can scratch executive session. We're not having one tonight. Move on to any addendum items. Do we have any?
When we go through under item G, under LPDC, we're going to strike Julie Beach.
Okay.
What?
Take her name off for that position,
Oh, who was it?
Julie Beach.
Oh,
Okay. Any items to be pulled or separated?
Yes, under item G, we need to pull Sarah Trimmer separately as high school special ed department head. Sorry about that one. I don't know if there's anybody else who was related somewhere or another. Key.
Ticket taker.
Well, you separated that.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, what letter do you want to make that?
We'll make her, Sarah, we'll put her after Q. So we'll make Sarah R. Right after Mike Trimmer,
Michael, right?
Michael. So those are the ones that have to pull Sarah separately.
I have a question. Are all the supplementals paid positions?
Yes,
Do we need them on?
there have been some, yes, there are, and there have been some that we've waited to fill just based upon where we are with school starting.
How many special ed teachers are at the primary, for example?
3.
So we need a department head for 3 teachers?
It's,
They don't get-
yeah, it's in the negotiated agreement for 3, yes.
And do we look for people to volunteer to take tickets?
I do believe there are some volunteers, yes.
Yes. But we pay a lot of people to do things that I personally think would be volunteer positions. I've been saying it since the first year I was on the board. We don't have that much money. And we pay people. We lost the will for people to donate to their school and community. I've offered to be a volunteer. I'll go over and help during tournaments and do things like that. But I have to force myself in there to help So, but I think there's people that would volunteer, and I just don't know why we don't try that route. I mean, I think we're I could be wrong, but
That up in the athletic community.
did you? I mean, I just think that there's people that care about this school and would take a couple hours to go take tickets. I mean, I don't know.
We did bring it up at the athletic council meeting as far as it be volunteers, and we talked about, looking and finding those people. So, I mean, we have addressed it. Hopefully we'll be able to have more people saying, I just want to volunteer for something.
So if we approve these people tonight, are they guaranteed to be, so if we get somebody that's willing to volunteer for certain games, I mean, I kept booked for the entire junior high last year for 7th and 8th grade volleyball, and would have never in a million years thought about, they're like, well, you get in free. I'm like, I already get in free. So I would, but we're paying somebody to keep booked for varsity. I don't know. We don't have that much money. And if we find volunteers to be ticket takers, I mean, I wouldn't say,
Obligated to.
yeah, are we obligated to pay them? I wouldn't say like if Michelle is scheduled for a game and I said today, oh, I can volunteer tonight, I wouldn't expect to take that from Michelle. But if as you're putting the schedule together, we can get some volunteers, because I guarantee you I can round up some volunteers to take tickets. And, and I think, sounds like Michelle probably could too. I think all of us probably could. And it could save us some money. I don't know how much we're spending on that, but.
How much do we per ticker taker?
It's minimum wage.
Minimum wage.
So
Yeah.
you're looking at several hours a
I mean,
night.
But don't we have some kind of volunteer? I mean, I did it. I volunteered in high school to do it, and I'd rather pay a student to do it than adults. I mean,
When we had a big booster club, that was,
And I think that's what, like, I'm there as just a mom of a little Mustangs, but for the Mustang Pride Committee, I think that's what we're trying to do. Bring that back, bring Pride back, everybody come together, boosters, mother clubs,
Yeah.
all those, so we can all just be Mustangs trying to support, our district and find those extra volunteers and stuff like that. That probably would be willing to do it, just there's not been anything like that. There is a
They
Mustang
just
Pride
needed to approach-
Committee
we have to
meeting
approach.
on Thursday at 6:00 if anybody wants to come. And we're it's in the works, so just starting things, but I think just something like that that's gonna bring everybody together and not have separate things and just try to all have one goal.
yes.
So.
Michelle, whenever you guys had your athletic council meeting,
Mhm.
was there any further discussion? Brian said they had discussion on that. How did the AD feel about that?
Well, I just kind of brought up about the Mustang Pride Committee too, where I felt like we would get people to just
To come in
volunteer
and help,
to
and I
do
think
that.
that's a good idea.
So I think it's just, these times right now, football could be shut down next week and we don't even know it. So to try to be obligated to do that, and thank you, Mr. Wrench, for following up on the camera thing, because that's another thing we had brought up about maybe volunteers in the community instead of, having to buy all that equipment and stuff right now. I think it's a good goal to move forward to be able to do that in the future with funds, like buy our own camera that can do all those types of things, or scoreboards. But it's just so much uncertainty right now, and I think we just need to be financially, really responsible.
Sure.
So, but we brought that up, just about people volunteering, because I know that there would be people to volunteer. So, but I think it's going to take like ahead of time a schedule, like, hey, it's going to take some prep work on Justin's part to say, hey, and reaching out and, hey, these times are available. Would you be available? We can't just. I think the ticket taker thing is because they're kind of obligated to do it because they get paid to do it, but leaving it volunteer and just getting a sheet and putting it up on, even our Facebook page or something like, hey, would somebody volunteer to take tickets? Or, it's just going to have to be, set, scheduled type things.
And Louise Marstrell did the books, collect the money collection for how many years, Austin?
Quite a few,
40, probably.
at least.
She didn't get any money, but she said, she just took it out.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
I think there, like Colin said, there's definitely people that would do it. I know there is.
There's a
But,
lot of older people that would even,
yeah, just this,
like us.
yeah. So,
And, we have to understand too, you can look back years back, and we didn't have that many activities back then as
Oh.
what we have today.
well, that's definitely true.
And the middle school and the high school and we got a thin, really, thin group of people. And I don't know if we can, hopefully we could get enough to cover both areas.
think
I guess
we
that's what I'm,
Well,
What I'm
we're
saying.
telling them they don't have a problem because of the numbers,
but I agree
We
with
need to pursue that.
Colin and Michelle,
I mean.
if we
and
don't
if we have to
use,
pay one person for, like Bob Carpenter does so much. Like,
yeah,
I have no problems with Bob Carpenter getting
Right.
paid. Like, he does so much
He's a good
stuff.
guy, yeah.
And, but, if we can get, instead of paying 5 ticket takers, we pay 1 or 2, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, you're going to take it if they're going to offer it, for the most part.
Yeah.
But most people would do it. As people enjoy it. There are people that enjoy helping.
Being involved.
Yeah.
And we'll get, the pride groups, we had one Thursday night at 6 for one of our initial meetings. I think there will be more people coming out and saying, yeah, I'd like to be more involved in stuff. And if volunteering and taking tickets occasionally and being reliable and for that,
Yeah.
it would be very helpful.
The more people we can get involved from the community, the better off we'll be.
Yeah. That happens when everybody's
Yes.
happy.
Yes, so, but I guess the question is, if we didn't have to use a couple of these, do we still have to pay them if we approve this list?
That's just a list that is put in that they could be to take it. If
We
find
pay off of
volunteer.
a timesheet.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
good, okay,
So
Yeah,
if
we're
no
not
timesheet,
obligated to give them
if no
hours.
timesheet is returned,
Okay.
yeah,
we
Okay.
don't.
So we're not obligated to give these people a certain number of hours or games or
Oh,
anything.
no,
no,
Okay.
it's just
That was-
whatever,
I think
they
that's
just write
what
down
we
whenever
wanted.
they
that's what
work
we
and
want.
that's how it's been turned
I
in.
think we can start to round that out.
Okay.
And have control of it a little bit. And get it, everybody,
Do you
that'll
want a
get
motion
working.
to pull
Yeah,
Sarah
that's
Trimmer
good.
separately?
Okay, we're a little bit off course here, so we'll move back, if there's, no other items to be pulled. Okay, we'll move on to the treasurer's report.
Do we need a motion in that?
To pull it separately?
Well,
The motion to pull
Okay.
Sarah Trimmer.
yeah, okay, we better.
I'll make it.
Okay, do we have a second? Stevie? Do you have any other questions? If not, roll call.
Mrs. Frohl,
Yes.
Mr. Miles,
Yes.
Mr. Beckley,
Yes,
Mr. Fawcett,
Yes.
and Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay.
Okay, now we'll move into the treasurer.
Okay. Just a kind of a quick view of this month. We did have 3 pays in our first month of the fiscal year, so that hurt us. So, but we showed for July a deficit spend of $421,938. So, like I said, it's kind of skewed because of that 3rd pay in that month. That was the first month we didn't pay for insurance. August will be another one we don't pay for insurance. I did get property tax settlement for the second half. It totaled, it was a little over $1.8 million. So that goes in the bank. So I'll use that money before touching any of our savings again. So the funding for the stadium will be complete and we will get our funds September 1st. I reached out to Ryan Nelson at Red Tree, who we have one of our investments through. He is recommending we go ahead and put it into some investments to make some money. He feels that he can get some money made off of that. I asked him about his fee, if it would be comparable to what we get charged right now. And he's actually going to lower it 0.5% more for these funds. Is that conducive to everybody or
I don't, he's going to lower it 0.5%.
what is it?
Or is he gonna lower it 5 basis points?
Maybe that's what it is.
So he's gonna
He told me, because like right now, we're getting charged
20 basis points.
15
We're getting charged. I think we're getting
per
charged
annual.
20 basis points.
No,
So
it's
the-
15 right now, and he's gonna lower it to 10.
Okay. Here's the only problem I have with that. As if interest rates would go up, our value would drop. So think of it as a teeter-totter. When you're buying bonds, so you're buying a bond that has a certain maturity. If interest rates go up, your value comes down. If interest rates go down, the value of your account goes up. So there could be some fluctuation in value. So you are risking some principal there a little bit. So
Well, that was my other question to him too, and he had said, as for investing funds, while I can't specifically state you will not lose there's a minuscule possibility with any investment, including current investments. The Ohio Revised Code and the district's investment policy are designed to only allow the safest investments. When investing, we will follow both. Remember, this is all we do and would not be adding any undue risk to the.
So any entity that takes taxpayer dollars are only
Only-
allowed to invest
right.
in government bonds and CDs and money market and savings. You're not allowed to invest in stocks or corporate bonds or
Right.
anything like that. So from that perspective,
Less risk.
it's safe, but you can still,
Right.
so the safety of that is dealing with the value that entity doesn't go bankrupt like General Motors did. If you owned a General Motors bond, you basically got nothing whenever they went bankrupt. If you owned an Enron bond, you got nothing. There's not a whole lot of risk of the U.S. government going bankrupt, but there is risk of principal fluctuation based off of interest rate. We call that interest rate risk. So there is interest rate risk associated with those investments. So the interest is not high enough, in my opinion, to risk.
So would you rather me just put it in Star Ohio? And
I think
keep it
Star
safe
Ohio
that
would
way?
be better. I do, for the time being, because there's the treasurer of Ohio is who manages Star Ohio, and you're not paying the 10 basis points for that, and they're still investing in government bonds, but it's usually duration of 30 days or so. So it is a shorter duration, which means that you're going to have less fluctuation. So I would say Star Ohio, a CD, if you could spread your CDs out, a brokerage can buy FDIC insured CDs. I mean, 100 million of it all insured. If you go to like a local bank, you can only get 250,000 insured, but a Chase Bank or some but would be able to do all of it insured. So if there's money you think you're not going to use for a couple of years, then you could buy a CD going out a little bit longer. You can buy 30-day CDs, but I really don't want to go into a bond fund.
Okay.
Helps.
I'll probably just stay with Star Ohio then, because that was the other option, with just doing that. Interest rates are low right now anywhere you go, so it's.
You're really more worried about principal preservation right now than getting interest, in my opinion.
Okay,
Because this is money, the majority of this money is going to be used up
yes,
over the short term.
right.
So I would say that it's not risky.
Okay. Okay, so moving on from that then, I just need a motion for the financial report for July, the payment of bills as presented, and the minutes from the regular board meeting of July 27th.
I'll make that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Beckley,
Yes.
Mr. Fawcett,
Yes.
Mrs. Sproul,
Yes.
Mr. Miles,
Yes.
and Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Motion carried. Superintendent's recommendation.
Going through my list, I'd like to be able to recommend in promotion and second for The OPC 390 contract extension with a base increase of 2%. We sat through negotiations for about, this is back 2 hours,
If that,
if that. So we were just thrilled to death that we were able to come to an agreement of a slight increase for our OPC members of 2%. So I want to thank TC. I want to thank Tammy, Shannon, and also Tammy, the other Tammy, Tammy Butler. That was our negotiating team, and I just want to thank them for that. So it went very, very smoothly. Approve a transition agreement with Harkett as Head Start for 2021 school year, and then those were in your packets. We have some substitute for this coming school year, pending credentials. There's a list of certified, and there's a list of classified, and also I had a list for you in your packet for classified substitutes also. And D is enter into contract with Beaver Constructors Incorporated as construction manager to oversee pre-construction stage of the stadium renovation, the cost of $15,000. We're entering this agreement, so that's just step one of this whole entire phase. So the step one is the $15,000 for that. I need to correct an error on last meeting's agenda. For freshman cheerleader, for the contract to reflect Courtney Golick. I had typed on an addendum to correct one, but didn't flip it over to what we voted on, so I apologize to Courtney. Approve Eric Peterson as middle school cross-country position for 2021. We have a list of non-athletic supplementals for 2021, resident educator, advisor, coordinator, Julie Beach and Julie Lunsford. Vocational department heads of vocational ed, Andrew Zimmerman. Social studies at the high school, Scott Buxton. Math, Heather Watkins, Amy Rossi, ELA, Kelsey Barnhart. Science, fine arts, Carrie Kunkel. We're polling Sarah Trimmer for later. Middle school head, Laura Peters for math, ELA, Jill Wagner, Matt Schumann for social studies, science, Jane Lasecki, Johnny Finch, special ed, high school yearbook, Jess Klingler, webmaster at the high school for Jacob Baldwin, class advisors for freshmen, Ashley Bendel, sophomore, Kelsey Barnhart, junior, Michelle McQuarrie Starkey, senior, Ian Miser, high school National Honor Society, Kelsey Barnhart, high school student council, Carrie Kunkel, Scholar Challenge, Brian Schilling, SAD TI is Michelle McQuarrie Starkey, Mock Trial, Jane Lasecki, Pep Club, Michelle McQuarrie Starkey, Art Club, Carrie Kunkel, French Club, Elizabeth Barrow, Future Teachers, Susan Monticelli, middle school yearbook, Lisa Maxwell, high school National Honors, middle school National Honor Society, Nathan Cozart and Laura Peters, middle school student council, Lindsay Pellegrino and Alyssa Mahaffey, Power of the Pen, Lindsay Tulak and Alyssa Mahaffey. The intermediate department head for special ed would be Georgianne Harding. Elementary special department head would be Kelly Cook. Primary special ed department head would be Daylin O'Connor. JEDC, Amy Kahn, Brian Watkins, Richard Page, Jody Miles, Heather O'Connor, Holly Lloyd, Kendra Rothrock, Ashley Bendel, Nathan Kozart, Kim Watkins. LPDC, Beth DiDonato, Brian Watkins, Jody Miles, Jill Wagner, Kendra Rothrock, Daylin O'Connor. And then we have approve the ticket takers at minimum wage as they are listed there. We do have some volunteers. JJ Ong, announcer, Jody Miles, ticket taker, and Cindy Host, ticket takers. Our board policy committee has the policies that we have reviewed and for approval. They are as listed. Go through all those there. Approve participation in the community eligibility provisions through the Ohio Department to provide free breakfast and lunch for all students for the 2021 school year. Approve adult prices for breakfast and lunch. Breakfast at $2.20, lunch, $3.85. Approved continuous transportation for a student outside the district, as I presented to you for that. Approved the reduction of force for Penny Dixon as cook as a result of the July 29th, 2020 bid bump meeting.
Okay, I need a motion for,
I'll move.
okay, Kenny? Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yeah.
Mrs. Sproul?
Yes.
Mr. Beckley?
Yes,
Mr. Fawcett?
Yes.
Mr. Miles?
Yes.
motion carried.
Items I pulled separately previously to tonight would be to approve Melissa Young as a certified substitute teacher.
Okay, we need a motion. I'll make that motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Trimmer? Roll call, please.
Mr. Beckley?
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Fawcett?
Yes.
Mrs. Sproul?
Abstain.
And Mr. Miles?
Yes. Yes.
Item pulled separately would be ticket taker for Chris Miles.
I'll move.
We have a second? Who's second?
Oh.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Roll call.
Mrs. Sproul?
Yes.
Mr. Fawcett?
Yes.
Mr. Beckley?
Yes.
Mr. Miles?
Abstain.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Another item pulled separately would be for a certified substitute for, with pending credentials, would be Mike Trimmer.
Okay, we need a motion. I'll make that. Do we have a second?
So,
Okay, Mr. Mouse. Roll call.
Mr. Beckley?
Yes.
Mr. Miles?
yes.
Mr. Fawcett?
Yes.
Mrs. Sproul?
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer?
Abstain.
And one more item that was pulled separately would be to approve Sarah Trimmer as high school department special ed head.
I'll move.
Okay, we need a motion.
I move.
Okay. Do we have a second? Okay, Stevie seconded. Roll call.
Mrs. Sproul?
Yes.
Mr. Miles?
Yes.
Mr. Beckley?
Yes.
Mr. Fawcett?
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer?
Abstain.
Motion carries. Any new business?
I just want to recognize Mr. Wrench and Kim Beckley on the work they did on the loan. It is extremely difficult to get an A+ rating in today's environment. And the fact that we got an A+ rating speaks volumes for Claymont and the work that they did and the rate. Like, I just cannot believe the rate that we got. It was unbelievable. So the two of you should really be commended. And if we were allowed to spend school money on you, I'd recommend it. But we can't, so we'll just say thank you.
Thanks. I mean, I do want to commend Kim. I mean, we did sit down, but it was her working the numbers, and we have our plan that we've all looked at for our future, and that's how we were able to work that plan, so Kim could get the numbers to get that rating for us.
Great job.
And I second that.
Mike helped prep, and he at least made us feel comfortable during the call anyways.
Any other new business? Board members have anything for the betterment of the district? I only have one, and it's under like an old business type. Remember when the young man came, talked about the dog? Do we have any update on that?
Yes, I saw Jane Lasecki last Friday, and they have an 18-month-old yellow lab
Okay,
currently being trained. So they do have the dog. It's going to staying with the Laseckis. So as it's trained, so they will be ready for school.
okay.
So maybe we can, at some point, be able to bring the dog into a board meeting so we can meet that
Okay,
dog.
I was just curious and wondering about that because I haven't heard it.
His name's Poet.
Yeah, I think they got her, I'm
I-
not even sure, towards the end of June.
Okay.
So they've been working.
Okay. Well, tell them on behalf of the board, thank you for that. Anything else before we adjourn? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
No motion.
Stevie? And I'll second that. Does anybody want to stay over? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Miles,
Yes.
Mr. Beckley.
Yes.
Mr. Fawcett,
Yes.
Mrs. Sproul,
Yes.
and Mr. Trimmer.
Motion carried.
6:20.
Thank you for the time.
I'm talking to Brian a little bit about